All right, and we are live. What is up, YouTube boxing family? It is K Rod here. This is another good boxing live stream for y'all, hardcore boxing fans, for you guys to come on and enjoy the show with me. Tonight, I have something a little bit special for the beautiful queen herself, Amanda, the real deal Serrano, and my very first ever fighter ratings live show. Um, Huge big shout out to Ricky Williams for coming out with this particular idea. So I figured, hey, why not? Let me just put it up on my channel in case any of you want to come right in and basically, chop it up with me. So yeah, let's get right into it. I have a lot of topics at hand of how I will get this fighter ratings topic show put in place. So um let's get right to it. Obviously for tonight's fighter, we will be doing Amanda Serrano. Um for those of you that don't know who she is a Puerto Rican female fighter out of the beautiful Carolina, Puerto Rico. She was born and raised in Carolina, Puerto Rico, but she had moved to Brooklyn, New York, um, to live, I believe, most of her life out there. She has been boxing ever since 2009, as she made her 126 pound debut against Jackie Trevellino, and her complete full resume record is, I believe. Oh, hey, how's it going, Bruin Seal or Jeff? No, like I didn't watch game two, but I'll definitely talk about that in a video. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Good. Like I didn't know that the Celtics actually won, but yeah, congratulations to the Celtics. That probably must have been a tough game overall. But yeah, let's get right back into my show. Amanda's record is 42 wins, 2 losses, one draw, and she has 30 wins by way of knockout. She is a southpaw. She is 5'5" with a 65-inch arm reach, and she is basically called the real deal, according to the people out in Brooklyn, aka Bushwick. So yeah, she's been fighting like mostly in her career from featherweight all the way up to as high as I believe 141, if I'm not mistaken. So technically, she's fought at 140 before. She's not afraid to go up there. But most of her, wins have basically been, women that she obviously wanted to get belts off of, and she's, if I'm not mistaken, boxing's only 7 division female world champion. So that's a huge mega feat, basically with her recent resume building, and she's done a good job with that. But yeah, like as far as what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about a lot of topics here. Um, I will be talking about topics ranging from, hold on, I will show it to you guys. We will start with, well, obviously, with the first one, eye test, boxing ability, and then ring IQ, and then defensive ability, and then chin, the ability to take a good shot, and footwork. That's obviously the amount of movement that you do in the ring to prioritize your shots a lot better, or to get away from a good shot. So therefore, you can prioritize your fighting strategy. And then intangibles, that would basically be like a fighter's potential of what you see out of a fighter that brings the intangibles that are different from any other athlete. And then lastly, the strength of resume. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'll be talking about, and then I'll probably talk about like the very first one. But uh, yeah, Bruin Seal said we hit 23s, the most in playoff history. Oh wow, that's insane. Yeah, like I never knew that the Boston Celtics actually did that. But but I'm definitely gonna be talking about that probably after this live stream is done. Hey, how's it going, Spoj? Nice to see you once again. Thank you for coming through, and appreciate you for giving me the birthday message. So, thank you very much. But yeah, this is my fighter ratings, and we're gonna start with the very first topic, and then I will be doing like a voting system from 1 to 10. And if any of you guys want to, put up like a vote, be sure to come through. And for anybody that wants to come through and join the panel, click that link through the StreamYard if you guys want to come through and just chop it up with me, and I will, very well be glad to put you guys on. But we will be talking about Amanda Serrano. We will be rating her for my very first ever show. By influence of Ricky Williams' boxing channel. So shout out to Mr. Ricky Williams. What we talking about today, brother? I might be able to hop on the StreamYard. Uh, yeah, basically, what I'm doing is I'm basically kind of doing like a fighter rating show to kind of like rate, certain fighters, that I have in mind. Like it's pretty much the same thing that Ricky Williams has been doing on his show. He's been doing this, little open panel live stream show where he like rates fighters. So basically, like it's like a show where people get together, and he has like a certain list of topics, and it ranges from 1 to 10. So basically, like it's like people that just hop on, talk about how people see this fighter growing in their department of a certain skill set. So that's basically what I'm doing today. Like I'm like I just figured that I make like a little series, for this channel to be talking about certain fighters that I like, or potentially fighters like that I even dislike either. So yeah, let's get right into it. I have a lot to talk about, and if anybody wants to vote inside the chat, I will put those numbers up on the chat as well. Actually, let me just pop up a notes page, and then I will have my voting numbers right here. So yeah, let's get on with the very first topic. The eye test. How I see Amanda Serrano's potential as a fighter from the eye test, even coming from like a casual perspective, I would have to rate her a good solid 9.5. I think Amanda, she's done enough in her career, as a fighter to build herself up as a high level athlete. And ever since that I've seen her skills talk talk with her character as a fighter, she's shown enough separation to be that type of level fighter where from the eye tests alone she has developed a good number of skills coming through the hands of her trainer Jordan Maldonado. And I think just based off of just based off of how I see her developing as a fighter, I would definitely rate it a 9.5. I would give it a 10, but I think that that's only because that she doesn't really show anything like super duper spectacular. She's definitely the type of person where she puts herself in a good position, as a fighter. And I believe we have Spo J in the building. Yeah, like, how's it going, bro?
K Rod, what up, bro? It's
Not
nice
much.
to nice to be on a stream with you finally.
Yeah. Like, I'm happy to have have you on.
This is my first stream I've been on. So is my sound good? Is there any echo or anything?
I don't hear any echo. No.
All right, awesome. What are we on right now?
We are talking about the eye test. For like Amanda Serrano. Just basically talk about if you were a casual boxing fan and you just looked at her most recent fight or just seen her as a fighter, like how would you rate her as a fighter based off of the eye test?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. I'm not the most educated on Amanda Serrano's full career. However, I have seen her last two fights. I watched the Katie Taylor one 2 times, and her last one, I believe it was against who was it? Gutierrez, I think.
Yes. Yep.
Now, talking about the eye test, from what I see in Amanda Serrano when I watch her, um, I like a lot of what she does out of the southpaw stance. Although she doesn't really use the jab a whole lot, she does keep the lead hand, just sort of probing, measuring, and range finding. One thing that I think she could improve on is, I don't want to say her defense because, defensively, I think she has good eyes and she sees shots coming very well. So she's able to, mitigate a lot of damage, even though sometimes her hands are a little bit out of position. Um, you know, Maybe a little bit of head movement or something in that department. But I think overall, she has good punch selection, very high output. I would say kind of reminds me of Errol Spence in some ways. I would have to give her a solid 9 on the eye test.
Okay, good. I actually find that very surprising because I actually do kind of think that she does actually remind me of Errol Spence, and it's actually pretty scary because it seems like a lot of southpaws they're starting to fight more of a big fundamental type of fighting style. Like it's nothing flashy. It's
Mhm.
just come forward and apply relentless boxer puncher pressure.
Yeah, and I think that style of fighting, um, it seems to have a way of overwhelming people. I mean, we saw it in Errol Spence versus Ugas, but obviously you have to have the correct tool set and be set up with the power and the biomechanics for it in a way.
Yeah, and I guess a great example of that would be like if you're facing like a pure boxer versus like a boxer puncher, like the biggest issue is that you have to watch out for the change in motion of like what a pure boxer is going to do to you, because if you don't know how to catch those punches in time, then that's where like your hand-eye coordination basically gets caught off guard, and then you're not able to prioritize the shots correctly for you to actually hurt somebody.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, what do you think? This is a little off topic. What would you have scored this past weekend's fight?
Honestly, like I was there, so
Yeah, I saw.
yeah, but honestly, dude, like I probably would have to score at 7-3 or 6 rounds to 4 in Amanda Serrano's favor.
Yeah, I feel like 6-4 is like at the bare minimum. I kind of lean more towards a 7-3 scorecard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would say Katie Taylor, she was pretty accurate with her output, but I don't think, like I said, that style that Amanda Serrano has, it's just overwhelming if you can't get her off you, which, I'm not trying to be um, you know, discriminatory or anything, but it's hard to find that type of power in women's boxing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because she was like the smaller lady beating up with the bigger lady once again, and she's been doing that, for quite a long time. And like a lot of people want to throw this, term of like calling her, like a weight bully, but I don't believe in, weight bullies in boxing. But it's just like if you're able to make the weight comfortably and you're still hurting people at that weight, then there's really no excuse. It's just that you just can't, basically take a good shot, and like your punch resistance is not going to carry into the into the later rounds.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, as far as like the score, do you want me to keep that as like a 9, right?
Oh yeah, I think 9 is good.
All right, because I scored at 9.5 for me. But for the second topic that I have is boxing ability. How would you rate that?
Let me think about this for a sec. For boxing ability, I feel like a fighter like Amanda Serrano, she has a lot of tools. The style of the fight that she decides to bring, kind of dictates what tools, she's going to bring out. And I think primarily with her skill set, she finds a lot of effectiveness in, um, really pressing people and using, I don't want to say looping punches, but really finding those angles on with both arms, and that ability to utilize both arms to great effect. And also she showed a great ability to cut off the ring against Katie Taylor, who I would say, in women's boxing is pretty good in terms of defensive movement. I would have to give her boxing ability, man. I don't know. I'm leaning on 9.5, and I think that's somewhat justified in that her boxing ability is a little bit higher than the score that I gave her for the eye test. Because in boxing, you can only showcase so many things at once. So I feel like for her ability, I'd probably have to give it a 9.5.
Yeah, same here because I'm probably gonna have to give it like a 9.5 because I would give it like a 10, but I think that that's only because she hasn't learned that much more in her boxing potential to like actually like expand it to like a whole nother level. But either way, like her style is just that good enough for her to beat championship level fighters. So
Yeah, and I also feel like how old is she?
she's currently 33 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at 33, especially if you haven't taken a terrible amount of damage during your career, I feel like sometimes a fighter like Amanda Serrano kind of still has that last level they can hit to bring them to a 10, like kind of maybe even how, resemblant of Donaire is looking as of recent.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Nito, he's a killer. Like I don't understand like why he's that able enough to like still hurt people at that age, but credit to him because he's an all-time legend.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching him fight a lot.
Yeah. I was actually happy that he knocked out that Gaballo guy because I never liked Gaballo and that robbery decision that he got over Manny Rodriguez was just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and that KO was sick too.
Yeah. I was just laughing. Like I was like, yo, some of these Filipino fighters are good. Don't get it twisted. It's just that for fighters like him, he was never supposed to be there. So,
Yeah, 100%.
but yeah, moving forward to the next topic, we have ring IQ. How would you rate that?
Ring IQ. This is an interesting one. I'm gonna judge her for ring IQ off of her most recent performance. I think if the rounds that Amanda Serrano lost in that fight versus Katie Taylor, I feel like came at the sort of at the tail end of the fight. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much, whether it was a result of, maybe not adapting to the fight as the fight changed over time. But I feel like, some small improvements could be made in terms of adjustments on the fly. And that could also maybe be partially attributed to the corner as well. So for ring IQ, I would have to say I'm gonna give her an 8.5.
Okay. Yeah, look, I'm probably gonna have to give it a 8.5 too. Just simply because she definitely knows what she's doing in there, but I think she sometimes have has like a little bit of like offensive and defensive lapses where she takes her foot off of like the gas and not go for the kill completely. But I think that's just mainly due to her not wanting to just go for it right away. So I think that would be a lot higher if she was able to just, take it to that next level, and she could definitely, take out her opposition a lot quicker.
Yeah, and another interesting topic that comes up when you talk about ring IQ is kind of the idea that when I watch Amanda Serrano fight, I feel like throughout the fight she's kind of in like a flow state. And in combat sports, whether it's MMA or boxing, you kind of want to lean more on the side of being in a flow state than overthinking stuff. So you have fighters like an Anthony Joshua who you can literally see him thinking as he's fighting. You know what I mean? Now, as she's in this flow state, I do feel like there's a balance where, you kind of pull back from that a little bit to think a little bit and make adjustments. Um, and obviously I feel like that just means that, in a way it's kind of an easy fix because it's harder to get into that state than it is to, bring yourself out of it, I feel like.
Yeah. I think, at the end of the day, like as you get older, like you don't really have as much drive to like take it to like another, level. But I feel like, there's like the certain window of where you want to work as hard as you want to breathe. But when you have like that motivation, like, that obviously can drive you to be successful. But once you don't have that motivation anymore, like it kind of puts you down and it doesn't really make you as hungry anymore to be successful.
Mm.
But as far as Amanda Serrano's drive as a fighter, I think that she's at that stage where she's done like enough and she's been in like those wars to actually like understand that she still has it, but does she really want to keep on going further to that point?
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting point.
But yeah, like as far as let the ring IQ, that's definitely a 8.5, right, for your score.
Yeah, I got 8.5 for ring IQ.
All right. Moving forward to the next topic, how would you rate defensive ability?
Amanda Serrano's defensive ability, man. One thing that I think has kind of happened to Amanda Serrano is that she finds a lot of success in, I don't want to say her offense being her defense, but just the overwhelming pressure she puts on people kind of puts them in a place where they're not able to counter as effectively or really find her that often because she's just so busy with her damage output. And like I mentioned earlier, she does have good vision as well defensively, but she doesn't necessarily strike me as somebody who is like a defensive genius, somebody maybe like a Shakur Stevenson or maybe even like a Gary Russell Jr. But by no means is she, slacking on defense at all. She's definitely well above average. And this is probably going to go under a different topic, but she also, takes damage really well, which, we all know, people that have boxed before know that, it's a lot easier to give punches when you can also take them. So, you have guys like Julian Jackson, who, in all essence was a glass cannon. And you have guys like Archer Beterbiev, who's really willing to go through hell to land that knockout punch.
Yeah.
And Amanda Serrano, she doesn't find much resistance, in the competition that she's facing, even at the highest level. But I would give her defensive ability rating I would have to give it an 8.5 as well, just because certainly it could be better, but it's just not an essential aspect of, something that is really like, I don't think it really harms her in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm gonna have to probably give it a 8.5 as well. Because she definitely knows like what she's doing. It's just that in some of her fights she gets a little bit lazy and she she gets hits she gets hit which with shots that she shouldn't need to be getting hit with.
Mm-hmm.
And she has really really good pressure to the point where she could very well fight like a very educated inside fighter, where she could just basically use her upper body movement and she could basically just tire out her opponents with the pressure and then still keep slipping and blocking a lot of the shots that doesn't really need to be needed to be hit with. But like I'd say, like as far as her defensive, like ability wise, like it's good enough for her to, basically deal with the level of competition that she's been, fighting lately, for her to be successful. Yeah, so I will be rating that as a 8.5. Um,
All right, 8.5 for both of us.
yes.
All right.
For the next topic, how would you rate her chin?
I feel like this is a pretty easy one. For chin, I gotta give it a 10.
Oh
Um,
man.
I don't really know if I've seen her that hurt. I mean, maybe it could have. I haven't done my fair share of research, so my score may change if you give me information I didn't previously have. But Katie Taylor was hitting her solid at maybe a few times each round, and she doesn't detract from the game plan at all. She's maintains focus, doesn't need to take time to clear the cobwebs off at all, and it's almost like she doesn't really feel them. It's like it's kind of almost amazing to watch. So I would have to give it 10 for the chin.
Yeah, same here because honestly, the only fight that I actually saw her like supremely hurt, but she was still able to like battle on and just beat up her like opponent, and I think she stopped her
Mm.
in the rematch. If you want to take a look at it, I believe it's on her YouTube page. She fought this lady by the name of, I believe her name was Ela Nunez, and it was like this like really like, like, I want to say she was like past her prime, but she was like in her 30s, and Amanda, she was like in her like mid 20s. But
Yeah.
this Ela lady, she could hit. Like she was hitting her with some really really mean shots, and this was like the younger version of like Amanda Serrano that didn't have like the greatest experience gained, but she was still like pounding ladies and just blowing people out. But um, in that particular fight, Ela, she was hitting her with her best shots, and Amanda, she still took them, and she was still walking her down and basically just beating her to the pocket. And like at that point, that pretty much just showed me like she was able to just take any big shot, because moving forward, she fought some decent level, volume punchers, and she's just never been, how should I say, she's never been disdained or discouraged from like a big shot, and she's always been able to overcome those hard, heavy hitting shots, and she's like, she's always shown a lot of grit and a great determination, to the point where she basically, is built like, almost like a dude, honestly. Like
Mm.
she's like a Terminator, built inside like a female body, honestly.
Dude, her and Ela Nunez must have been going to war, dude. Because I'm looking at this right here. They fought 4 times, and
Yeah, yeah.
Serrano knocked her out one of those times.
Yeah, she was a very dark horse in a division that was never really talked about. But
Mm.
like if you take a look at their fights between each other, Amanda really showed that she was definitely like the real deal, and she definitely went through a tough competition, competition matchmaking.
Mm.
But yeah, like I'm definitely gonna rate that a 10 out of 10. She's never been down, and she's never been hurt to the point where where her legs are like super wobbly. And I think that's basically basically just going to show that you really can't knock her out, because she's just that good of a fighter to take those hard shots.
Yeah, definitely have to give her a 10 too, because I've seen on other streams, like I think on Ricky Williams, they were doing the Tyson Fury ratings, and a lot of people gave Tyson Fury a 10 for his chin. I feel like I would personally give Tyson Fury maybe like a 8 or a 9,
Yeah,
because he doesn't. The thing about Tyson Fury is like he has this supreme ability to recover, because I think that there's kind of there's multiple aspects to punch resistance. One of those being when you actually like how you react when you actually get hit, like when the punch impacts you Like, how badly are you hurt? Tyson Fury's been knocked down, I don't know how many times in his career, like 7 or something.
Yeah.
But he has 10 seconds to recover, and he has the supreme ability. His ability to recover, I would say, is a 10 out of 10, because he was recovering from those Deontay Wilder bombs that he was getting hit with. You remember the right hand in the third fight that made his whole body ripple.
Yeah.
And he recovered from that. But it's just like, when you're getting knocked down like that, like, I hate to compare sports, but I think sometimes it's good to draw comparisons. Like, if this was MMA, if you get knocked down, the fight doesn't stop, and you know what I'm saying, it would be over.
Yeah.
And so for Chin, there's no way that's a 10. Like, we would have to give, of course, this makes Amanda Serrano definitely a 10 plus,
Yeah. I just mainly, scored it like that because it's just like, like if you've been down before, that I can't make it like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But if you've never touched like the canvas and you were still battling through like heavy-handed punchers and you were still just eating those shots, what the entire fight, and you still ended up winning, then that's just like totally like insane. But that's just like, absolutely amazing, because it's like nobody can ever have those, type of physical genes.
Yeah, I think actually on that Ricky Williams panel, I think you were on there, and you were like one of the few people to give him below like a 9 for the Chin.
Yeah, because it's like, honestly, like, I'm not gonna try to be biased a lot, like, even though that I have in the past, but it's like, I'm not gonna give a man respect for something that he's really not good at doing. It's just that like if I see something weak out of you, then I'm going to rip those weaknesses out of you, because I don't want to give you that respect until you earn it from me. At the end of the day.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, like as far as the Chin, are we set for 10 and 10?
Yeah, easily a 10.
Alrighty. How would you rate the footwork?
I think Amanda Serrano moves very well. I think sort of the main cornerstone of her footwork ability is, her balance. And that also kind of plays into the fact that she's never been knocked down, despite having such a long career and having fought for so many rounds. And that has to do with, how your feet are and your balance. So she's not only got great balance, but she's, she always moves in such a way that has her, the ability to punch with either her left or her right hand, no matter what position that she's in. And this is something that, kind of bothers me with a lot of fighters when I watch men's boxing. Like, let's say recently we watched Butayev versus Stanionis. Now, in that fight, you saw Stanionis had a great jab, and Butayev just over and over, he was having to reset after getting hit with that. He's not able to answer for a solid second and a half while he gets his feet back under him again. And we also saw that in Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez, where even if Shakur was just posting on him with his lead hand, Oscar was uncomfortable and he had to reset. And this is not something that I see out of Amanda Serrano at all. And she uses her feet very well to cut off the ring, to exit the pocket when she needs to. The only thing is, I guess her footwork could be used a little bit in more of a defensive manner to help her absorb fewer punches. And because of this fact, I will have to give her footwork a 9.
Oh, wow. That is a very interesting take. Yeah, for me, like, I'm gonna probably have to rate it like a 9.5 for me, just simply because, like, like if you take a look at like some of her fights where she's had to like actually box pure boxers, she's done a very good job, like, dismantling them and just making it look very, very easy. But, she had to like plan it out from like round 1 leading up to the end. And I say like one of her best fights where she actually did that was against that Dominican lady, Dahiana Santana, right?
Yeah, that first round stoppage.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say let the rematch, but if you look at their first fight out of the 2 fights that they had,
Oh
she
yeah,
did a very good job, just like cutting her like cutting off with the ring and just making her miss a lot and just basically prioritizing like the right shots to just get her hurt and basically dismantled. And she basically just used educated footwork pressure, and she just had such a good like defensive, counter punching ability, fighting style with it. She had great, combinations and just great hand eye accuracy point of like precision striking.
Yeah, and I also think that she has pretty great foot speed as well. A lot of people have really slow feet. You see guys like Canelo, it's just like their feet are in quicksand or something.
Yeah, yeah, sadly. But yeah, like I just think like Amanda, she's proven herself to be like that good pure boxer puncher, and she has like all the great tools to expand it to like a whole nother level, but it's already good enough to at the point where she like she tries her best to utilize it as best she can when she's in situations where she actually has to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say for our scores, you have a 9 and I have a 9.5, right?
Uh-huh.
All right, perfect. And then for the next topic, how would you rate the intangibles?
Well, let's see. Let's see what all intangibles entails. Now, when I think of intangibles, I think of things like, your mental toughness and your ability to remain calm under pressure and kind of not fold when things aren't going your way. Now, from Amanda Serrano, I haven't really seen, I haven't really seen her falter in any way that would lead me to believe that she has lapses in her mental fortitude. So she's kind of one of those fighters where, even though she's kind of fought for a pretty long time, she still has yet to show any real um, holes, I guess, in her armor when it comes to the ability to break her down, because it's really never been done before. Even if people say that somebody did beat her, it was, like with Katie Taylor, just by razor thin margins. That is, highly debated by most people. I don't think most people would really agree with that decision. For intangibles, I would have to give her I'm gonna say 9.5, because she also has that crazy dog in her that you see in some fighters like Terrence Crawford or Shakur Stevenson. You have those guys where you can just tell, or Tank Davis, on their face when they're just beating you up, they're enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? And they're when it's like it's almost like when you're in the ring with them, you're in the ring with them. They're not in the ring with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's just such like a demonic mindset to have.
100%.
Yeah,
So
because it's like, every time when I spar against somebody, I personally feel like that I'm in like a whole different world. And
yeah,
like when they see how like vigilant I am, as I actually like hurt people, because I'm like a very heavy-handed person, but it's like
Mhm.
I tend to see like a whole different mindset while they see something out of me that I personally don't see. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, but I'm definitely gonna have to give that a 9.5 as well, because Amanda, she's just like, oh man, like honestly, like she's like very similar to Errol Spence, and I like to use like a Vander Holyfield in certain cases, because she's just that type of woman where she has so much fun doing what she does, but she doesn't even realize it because she's just that good, and
Yeah.
she just expands everything to the maximum level, to the point where she's actually that talented enough to just bring it to like another elevated level. So she's definitely a high 9.5.
All right, 9.5 for both for intangibles.
Yeah. Um and then for the last topic, How would you rate her strength of resume?
Well, this might be the the one topic that I have the worst opinion on because I'm very unfamiliar with the general landscape of women's boxing. Um, I mean, to me, she beat Katie Taylor. People, a lot of people said that, especially if you look on the hemispheres of social media that are more in the European regions, people didn't really give Amanda Serrano much of a chance. And the odds, it was basically a pick'em fight, and she beat who people said was, the top pound for pound women's fighter. In Katie Taylor, I don't really care too much about the decision because, of course, when you're rating somebody, to me, skills pay the bills. I saw what I saw. Strength of resume, I would have to give her. I mean, she's done what she could. I don't really know what fights there are that couldn't have been made, so I'm gonna have to say a 10.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a 10, just simply because, despite like what people try to say, saying that, she's a weight bully and all this nonsensical BS, like, her resume is definitely heavily stacked. She's like, the only 7 division world champion, if I'm not mistaken, in boxing. And, she did everything correctly. She definitely fought some, high level names. And I probably say that the more credible wins were at like, I probably say like I would say at 135 and definitely at 126. And then I say at 130. And I probably say I maybe 122, but definitely, at the higher weight, she's definitely done like enough to solidify legacy. So, yeah, like I definitely give that like a 10.
But man, boxing boxing is like the one of the only sports probably where you can move up, 7 weight classes and still be called a weight bully. Plus, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody call Manny Pacquiao a weight bully, and he moved up even more.
Yeah, because it's like for me, like as far as like what I used to do back in my day in high school for wrestling, like like if you can't make the weight, then naturally you should move up because
Yeah,
similar to boxing, most like obviously most fighters cannot fight most fighters don't fight at their natural weight. They just try to experiment certain weight classes that they can take advantage of. But that's not being like a weight bully. That's them trying to see how far they can go, at staying at the weight.
yeah.
But uh, like I'm sorry, did you have something to say?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, in sports where you have weight classes, implicitly everybody is gonna cut weight, obviously, and so that sort of puts the burden on the athlete themselves to cut weight to a certain point where it's still safe for them, which is why, right, if somebody misses weight, it's a big deal and they, usually get ridiculed for it. They also, I know in the UFC, they get half of their purse taken away. I think it varies per boxing commission, but I'm sure a similar thing happens. I think I've seen like 35% and stuff like that. So, I feel like that if you ever call somebody a weight bully and they've never really had terrible issues on the scale, which I don't believe Amanda Serrano has, then it's just kind of a nonsensical argument, don't you think?
Yeah, because it's like at the end of the day, like the term weight bully just simply just like doesn't make any sense to like try to paint that on somebody unless like they were actually like not even like naturally built like for that weight, and then naturally they would just have to move up in weight class because like your body's going to just deteriorate, and then you're going to lose all of like your natural nutrients in your immune system to the point where you're going to end up basically passing out, and you can definitely potentially kill yourself because I definitely ran into some people in like of like and wrestling back in high school where they just try to like basically force themselves to starve, and like uh like uh like for certain cases with them they ended up getting sick, and then not really being healthy with like their dieting, and then they just end up passing out and doing something like very stupid to not be disciplined.
Yeah, dude, you try to cut way too hard, you'll end up looking like Jaime Munguia.
Yeah, yeah, like people that do that, that's not natural for the human body. So, and I've been through that before. Like I tried doing something that wasn't really naturally, right to do to cut weight, and
Mm.
once I learned from that, like I just naturally just cut weight by, just eating less and then try to work out more, and then
Yeah, yeah, just reduce salt intake and lower carbs and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because people say like it's about eating healthy, but that's not really true. Like it's basically how much calories that you're taking throughout the day and how
right,
much food that you're intaking throughout the day. So like if you eat like three massive plates of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's like well over close to like at least like 5,000 calories, if not more. Like,
right,
depending on how much that you're eating. Because if you're eating very unhealthy throughout the course of, 5 days, throughout the week, then naturally your body's going to get fat. But if you're
right,
like, yeah, but if you're like, eating healthy and you're eating less, but you're also, portioning like your sizes and just trying to eat less throughout the day and try to save as much calories as you can so that way you can sustain them. That's like a better strategy because for me personally, like I usually eat like a big breakfast, but then I skip my lunch, and then for dinner, like I usually eat something like how should I say, like I usually try to eat small because I mainly eat like fish and chicken. So
Mhm.
that's what I usually do just to keep myself at bay before I go to bed. So I usually just try to eat less, for dinner, and then I try to eat like a lot for breakfast.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. My diet right now probably it's pretty shitty. I would say.
Yeah,
I just kind of eat whatever, dude. I mean, honestly, I like to cook and stuff, but I don't really make the healthiest food. I'm not gonna lie. I be
I mean
making like,
I don't blame you.
what do you say? Sorry.
I don't blame you. Like it's a like it's a tough addiction that
It definitely
certain
is.
people got to go through.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, like I've been trying to just basically stick to lean proteins and keep away from from like a lot of carbs, but sometimes that's very hard because sometimes like you do need carbs to get you by.
yeah. I think I kind of go through cycles. I'll eat healthy for a couple weeks at a time, and then unhealthy for a couple weeks at a time. But when I am eating right, though, I feel like the feeling is unrivaled.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is that you just have to keep away from sweets and keep away from eating red meat, because if you do that like a lot, then that's what's going to cause you to gain like more fat.
Yeah, 100%. But
Yeah,
yeah, dude, Amanda Serrano, that weight bully argument, it's got to be some horse shit.
yeah, because honestly, but the reason why they say that is because like I'm not gonna throw names at people, but like I was talking to some guy, off of like another person's YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
he was bringing up at the time where she moved down to 115 to get like a title, and then she moves back up to like 126 or I think like 130 just to go back and get more titles there. And he tried to use that as an excuse to say, well, that means that she's a weight bully because, she decided to not move up, higher in weights versus she'll go down in lower weights and then come back up. And it's like, okay, so can you throw that onto Manny Pacquiao and say the same thing? Because he did the same thing where he ended up trying to go for titles where he thought that financially that would make a lot of sense for him to just get some quick belts, and then he can just basically vacate and then move up. So
Yeah.
like
Hey, actually, while we're on the topic of strength of resume, I do think, and I'm not trying to go overboard with this, but I was just looking at her Wikipedia, and I think Amanda Serrano might deserve maybe a 10 and a half or an 11 out of 10, because one thing that I didn't know is that she is pretty well versed in jiu-jitsu and submission grappling. And this is interesting to me because I grew up, boxing since I was a kid. But my younger brother, who's 4 years younger than me, he was always more interested in MMA, and he competes as an amateur right now. So that kind of taught me a lot about the aspects of wrestling and, different aspects of MMA. So I feel, this has got to be considered part of her resume, because I highly doubt that, I know we're talking about boxing, but man, I don't know if this skill set can be found like in other boxers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a crazy skill set to be able to, wrestle and pull off submissions as well as have hands. And I don't know, dude. I don't know if any girl can see her, because the fact that she can actually, grapple as well means that, she could compete in higher weight classes. And if we're talking about real, fights other than boxing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I don't disregard that. Like I think it takes like a very rare breed of people to actually be super skilled and actually doing that.
But yeah, I'm interested to see how these totals average out at the end.
Yeah, because I'm trying to like actually do the right calculation. Like I'm actually trying to calculate the median, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not too sure how to do it. Like I think I need to like add up all the numbers and then divide it by the total number of numbers, that I average everything out to.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, like I'm trying to figure it out, because that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Because I try to add up all the numbers and then I divided it by 8, because I had like 8 topics. So
oh yeah, 8 categories.
Yeah, so I'm actually trying to figure that out right now.
Oh, you might have if it's 2 scores per category though, you would want to divide it by 16, huh?
Oh, okay. So divided by 16.
Yeah, because if we're both giving scores, then obviously if you combine them, then that's 2 entries per topic.
Oh, okay. So divided by 16, not by 8.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So 9.5 plus 9. All right. Yeah, because I was like a bit confused, because I thought that I was supposed to do it like that. Yeah, but I was also gonna say, like, are you looking forward to seeing Gervonta fight this upcoming month?
Oh, versus Rolly, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. Rolly is hilarious. Like, I feel like a lot of people hate him, and I definitely understand why, because he seems pretty stupid and does a lot of goofy stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, honestly, man, I just see him as he's a pretty good entertainer, man. Like I watch his videos. I don't exactly know the channel, but there'll be a guy with a camera with him in the gym, and the dude is just funny as hell. Like he'll be shadow boxing, and then he'll just start singing along to The Weeknd that's playing in the background, and it's like, dude, I don't know what kind of boxer listens to The Weeknd while they're training. Like that's just kind of crazy, bro. Like I don't know what time he's on, but I feel like Smart Money Tank is probably gonna stop. It's probably gonna stop him, but I kind of give Rolly a chance because he's pretty rugged, man. I'm not gonna lie, and I know a dude personally who's friends with Rolly, and he always speaks very highly of him, and I'm not gonna just disregard his word. So, I feel like Rolly will at least make people hopefully respect his skill set a little bit, even though it is kind of bizarre.
Oh no! Like I don't disagree with you. Like I'm actually friends with his stablemate Zarina McCoy, and
Man,
she tells me Rolly is basically putting in that work in the gym. He's not playing no games, and I mean, honestly, like I won't be surprised if Rolly comes out with something that Gervonta doesn't see out of him. But I think everything that we see from the outside of him doing all these these silly skits of like him training with with his coach.
yeah.
I think that's all mind games to actually trick Gervonta to think like, oh well, this
I
is
think he
gonna be
sucks. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, like it's like a sales pitch to think like, the classic puncher is going to just get beat by the classical boxer puncher, but then on fight night, it's a whole different style that Gervonta didn't see. And, like for me personally, like I don't want to see that out of him because I
Yeah,
think Gervonta, like if he comes in focus and he comes in like the regular tank that that we see, then then I truly believe he's gonna flatline, Rolly. But I
yeah,
don't.
he'll Tank. I feel like if Tank comes in with a perfect game plan, fighting like how he fights when he's you know firing on all cylinders, I feel like Rolly will probably get broken down and stopped.
Yeah, because Rolly hasn't been in those wars yet, so
Yeah,
I just definitely fear that for him because I think Gervonta, he's gonna bring something out of him that Rolly hasn't been in that position.
yeah,
And I just think if a focused Gervonta Tank Davis comes into actually wanting to kill you, then he's gonna come in to do damage. He's not coming in to like play it safe. And I think Rolly knows that, and I think Rolly's very prepared with that, and knowing that him and his coach have been, trying to act super tough, in the press conference, trying to act like that, they're gonna beat up Tank real bad and do all this
yeah,
and that. I feel like that's gonna get through his head, or it's going to make the fight a lot more interesting because it's like either Rolly's going to have a chip on his shoulder or Gervonta, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And the fight's going to be a lot more interesting than for what people try to make it out to be. So,
yeah. I 100% agree. And another angle that I kind of think of for this is, Rolly is with how few fights that he has, he's really kind of stepping up to a big stage to fight the guy that a lot of people think is the best fighter at 135 pounds. And they obviously had that first press conference. Like, do you remember how long ago that was?
yeah, that was back in June
Back
or
in June, yeah.
back in actually no. They were supposed to fight in December, and then
Last year,
that's
yeah.
when yeah, that's when Tank, wasn't able to fight Rolly because Rolly got into that sexual, allegation nonsense.
Right. And the reason why I bring that up is that having that press conference so long ago kind of might be a detriment to Tank in some ways because, I saw some people saying that Rolly kind of looked like he was walking into something that he knew, he kind of knew he was going to get messed up, messing around with Tank. And whether or not he was scared or felt any fear, I don't really know. But the thing is that when you're put in a situation like that, I feel like those emotions that you're feeling, they can sort of drive you to elevating to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, you're friends with that one girl who says that Rolly's putting in work, and that may be a result of him knowing that this is really kind of, I don't know, it's so early in his career that he really has to give it his all for this, for this outing that he's going to have against the number one guy at 135. Because a win here, or even just simply a good performance, could really, even if he loses in the way like Pitbull Cruz or he gets stopped late, I feel like his stock could still go up.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. Like if Rolly like actually goes the full distance and he still loses to Tank,
Yeah,
then that's gonna put a bad stain on Tank's skill set and his stock as a fighter, where people are going to be like, wow, you couldn't stop a guy that everyone thinks he's like, everyone thinks he's trash and not a good fighter, but yet, you were supposed to flatline him. And Rolly, he gained a lot more, how should I say, he gained a lot more accreditation
yeah,
for like actually giving you a tough fight. And on top of that, Rolly actually knows how you fight now, so
mhm,
therefore he can give more blueprints on how to potentially beat Gervonta. But I think Gervonta, he needs to like come into this fight to actually like come in to knock out Rolly because
yeah,
this is like like as far as like Gervonta's strength of resume, this is like a must win fight where he needs to get Rolly out of the picture.
Yeah.
And after this win, he needs to like become his own boss, and knowing that this is his last fight with Mayweather Promotions, which I truly believe that there's going to be something fishy behind this fight,
Mhm.
where like if Gervonta doesn't look too good against Rolly, then who knows? Like there could be some form of corruption.
Oh, you
That
think because Rolly's team, he's TMT?
yeah,
Yeah.
like you got to think about it. Like if you're a growing product
Yeah.
and you're branched off of somebody that is bigger than you,
Mm.
and the biggest product is about to leave out of that stable, then what do you think the promoter is going to do next? He's going to move to somebody that's next in line to take that spot over. And I think that with like a mindset like that, especially from Floyd Mayweather, I truly believe Floyd, he'll do something that crazy enough to try to maybe try to corrupt the judges, like in some form of way where he could very well try to do that, because like if he's going to lose Tank, then he's going to be like, all right, well, thank you for being being like a part of me, but like I'm not gonna basically let you leave like with with like a clear unanimous decision victory. He could very well put money, into the judges' pockets, and then just out of nowhere, we could just see some weird, crazy decision, that's in Rolly's favor. So,
Man, if he did that, that'd be crazy. But now we were talking about in the slim. Now, if this fight does go to a decision, which I feel like there's a very slim chance that happens, you know what I mean? I'm sure you can agree that's probably not very likely. But if it does, I could definitely see how it could be a blemish on Tank's resume. But at the same time, I also feel like whether or not it is a blemish is kind of based on, I guess, two immediate factors that come to my mind. The first factor being how the actual fight looked. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say Rolly gets knocked down like 2 or 3 times, but somehow manages to survive to a decision. I don't really think that would look that bad, right? Or, you know, maybe Rolly goes on to actually, do pretty well for himself. Kind of like, with Pitbull Cruz, like people were trying to use Pitbull Cruz as a stain on Tank's resume, but we just saw what, Pitbull Cruz did to Gamboa. And even after Pitbull Cruz fought Tank, a lot of people were picking him to be guys like, Ryan Garcia. And honestly, what Pitbull Cruz did to Gamboa was just wrong. That shit was elder abuse or something.
yeah.
But you know, but like let's say Tank, he just he lets Rolly go to a decision, and then Rolly goes and gets blasted out by Jackson Marinez in a rematch or something. Then that would definitely be a blemish. But
Yeah.
It just depends, I guess.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you got guys like Keyshawn Davis wanting to call out Tank, then let's just say if Rolly beats Tank just out of nowhere, then don't be surprised if Keyshawn Davis wants, Rolly, because it's
Yeah,
like, that's going to be something where, Rolly's just going to be like the next, like, how should I say? He's going to be like the next puppet figure, as similar to Ricardo Mayorga in a way, to which I don't want to see it like that, because, like I think Ricardo Mayorga, he's like a different type of fighter compared to Rolly, but just based off of how I see this fight between him and Tank, it like it kind of gives me like Vernon Forrest around Ricardo Mayorga vibes.
yeah. Here's something interesting I saw on Twitter today. This is kind of off top. Well, we're talking about Keyshawn Davis, but I was wondering. So Keyshawn Davis, he fought last weekend, right, against whatever his name was, Esteban something.
Esteban Sanchez, that
Sanchez,
Mexican
yeah.
dude. Yep.
Now I thought Keyshawn Davis looked, you know, very good in that fight, but I saw on Twitter people talking about Keyshawn Davis versus Frank Martin. Do you think that Keyshawn Davis is ready for a dude like Frank Martin at 135?
I mean, he says he wants to be moved fast, and I say why not? But at the end of the
Well,
day, don't be surprised if Frank Martin wants that fight, because he's like literally that close to getting like a title, and I think
Amanda
that
Serrano from
um,
Wikipedia.
oh, I just think like just based off of like the skill set that Frank Martin possesses, I think that could be like a very bad style matchup for Keyshawn. But I would like to see that fight because I think Frank Martin, he could have a chance to knock out Keyshawn.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Frank Martin, like that's a big step coming from
Yeah,
S to Frank Martin, dude.
yeah,
That's
because if Keyshawn's saying he's been training for 12, like for 12 rounders, then by all means, put Frank Martin in there with him because like if Keyshawn can do the same thing to like potentially knock out Frank Martin or just beat him, then I'll be like, all right, good, good for you, like you actually had something to prove and you beat like a top lightweight in your division, so that should mean that you're ready for like for the top dogs, in your division.
Oh,
But
100%, dude. If he were to beat Frank Martin, that puts him at the top in 135 with those other guys.
yeah,
But
but
damn.
I was gonna say for the fighter ratings total that I had
Oh yeah.
scored for Amanda, she comes out to be a 8.28. Um, yeah, that's like the score that I averaged out. Like it came out basically like I tallied up everything. Like it came out to 132.5, and then I divided it by 16.
Mhm.
So but the decimal number came out to be 8.28125. So like I just rounded it up to 8.28.
All right, hell yeah. First fighter rating knocked out. You have any idea who you're gonna do next week?
Honestly, I was wanting to do maybe I don't know.
You could do Bivol if he wins.
Oh yeah. Definitely Bivol. If he wins, like then I'm definitely coming back to give him some praise. But if he doesn't, honestly, like I wouldn't mind doing Canelo, but
Yeah, that's true.
I'll
I
probably
feel like this Bivol fight because I feel like Bivol is a guy who I would give him kind of a master boxer distinction, right? I think he's a good boxer, like in terms of how he uses his style, and I feel like he's kind of a cerebral, educated fighter who flows well. I think it might be an interesting matchup with Canelo. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be a firefight or a war by any means, but just from a technical perspective, I think that we'll get to see like a very high level, high IQ fight.
yeah, I think so too. I think Bivol, like honestly, like to me, like I think he's gonna be a bad style matchup for Canelo because if Canelo can't get on the inside and do what he likes to do best to try to give you that inside pressure and use his upper body movement, then
Yeah.
Canelo is definitely gonna be very discouraged very quickly, and I don't see Bivol giving Canelo that opportunity. And also on top of that, Bivol, he has like amazing punch placement with his jab to the point where, like you really can't, touch him. Once he gets his, timing down.
Yeah, and Bivol is he's good at just not letting off the gas. I don't think that he has any real lapses in his fight just because he's sharp.
Yeah, but on top of that, with Bivol is that every time when you try to like cut off at the ring, he just basically like offsets you
Yeah,
quickly, and he basically like confuses you with basically switching over to to the opposite end of his jab to basically make it harder for you to to try to land on him because
yeah.
he's so good at adjusting so quickly that he doesn't really need to use that much of his punching power because it's like his pure boxing makes it so good for him to get away from so many hyper exchanges.
Yeah, like he didn't face too much adversity in the Joe Smith Jr. fight. I mean, Joe Smith did kind of hurt him a little bit, but I was I was kind of surprised with Bevol's ability to use his feet defensively and kind of regain his bearings and clinch. Now, one thing that I noticed in the Caleb Plant Canelo fight is that Caleb Plant was having issue kind of trying to clinch with Canelo. Canelo was able to land hooks kind of around Caleb Plant's arms. So I do wonder if Bivol is going to be able to be stronger or assert himself better when he needs to do that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Bivol needs to keep it to the center
Yeah.
and and basically make Canelo very frustrated to the point where Canelo can't really, do what he normally does best.
Mm-hmm.
And Bivol, he really needs to start applying his jab very, very early and basically take Canelo's rhythm off guard quick in the early rounds, and then when it comes to a late game situation, don't let Canelo try to tie up with you inside the pocket.
Yeah, and I think Dimitri Bivol is also a much better mover than many of the people Canelo has fought. I think a lot of people would probably say that the best footwork and mover type of guy he's fought as of recent was probably Caleb Plant. I think that in some ways Bivol has better footwork than Caleb Plant, and they also operate off their feet kind of differently. Caleb Plant is more of a one step at a time guy, and Bivol does a lot of kind of hop steps where he can cover a lot of distance in a short period of time and in a lot of different directions by using both feet to keep himself on balance. And so I want to know if I want to see if Canelo's going to be able to find him, or be able to land anything really hard, and if he'll be able to go to the body to much effect as well.
Yeah, because I think Canelo, he's gonna be frustrated.
Yeah.
Then he's gonna have to try to fight super dirty up inside the pocket to try to land some minor success. But then once Bivol, doesn't want to be fighting up inside the pocket, he's just gonna frustrate Canelo by using his jab and just making sure that he uses those punches, like he's gonna pump it out, like a shotgun. Because if he actually does give Canelo some problems to the point where Canelo actually show signs that he's actually either hurt or just basically discomforted,
Mm-hmm.
then I think Bivol, will basically show basically will show the blueprint to defeating Canelo is just basically use your pure basically using pure boxing technical tactics.
Yeah. But man, dude, that's gonna be that should be a pretty interesting fight. Also, I still give the edge to win to Canelo for sure, but Dimitri Bivol, man, he definitely has skills. Like I don't know if he really shows up and he's firing on all cylinders, and he's able to do what he wants to do. I don't think that Canelo's going to just be able to walk him down like he's been doing to a lot of the guys that he's been fighting before, because I think those sharp punches from a 175-pound guy that's actually pretty precise and can land in combination, be it only one or two, maybe three punches max at a time. I don't know, man. I mean, when we watched Canelo fight Kovalev was just kind of probing with that jab and not using a whole lot of power. You know what I'm saying? And he was able to keep Canelo at bay for how many rounds was that? Like 11 or something?
Yeah.
So who knows, dude? I mean, Bivol, he's younger, fresher, taking little damage. And I mean, I think from what I've seen, I've been watching some of these these features they've been making on him, and it seems like he's coming to fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And despite the quote unquote lack of competition that Bivol's been in, Bivol's not one of those fighters that's afraid to face tough opposition. So it's he's gonna come with a chip on his shoulder, and with all this crazy controversy between the Ukraine and Russia situation. I don't think Bivol likes hearing that a lot, and I think that's gonna give him more motivation to actually come with a chip on his shoulder to actually beat Canelo.
Yeah, and Bivol, he said two things that I kind of like. One of them is that he said something basically how am I going to let Canelo come to my weight class and beat me? You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
the second thing he said is that he likes when people aren't really on his side, because he's used to, he had a pretty long amateur career, and he went to, Mexico and Hungary And he said that people were always, booing him, but he won anyways. And so, these are things that I kind of like to hear from a fighter when you're leading up to a fight like of this magnitude, because if you watched Bivol's last fight with, I think it was Omar Salamov, that crowd looked kind of dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like Bivol doesn't care. He's just
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's going in to like handle business. He's not going in to like please anybody. So
Exactly. But yeah, Kevin, hey man, this was a really fun stream, dude. I want to get on here with you again soon. I gotta go now because I procrastinated studying to do this fight.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Worth it. I want to be back on here. I want to be back on here soon.
All right. Just hit me up. Like if you have a Instagram or anything social media related, like me and you can stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I'm gonna actually, I think I already follow you on Instagram. I'll just DM you so you can find mine.
Okay. All right.
All right. Awesome, bro. Talk to you soon.
All right. I'll see you later, man.
Peace, bro.
All right. Peace. All right. So I appreciate y'all for coming through. Salute to you, Omega Red. Sorry about that, my man. Hope everything's well with you. Thank you guys for watching this fighter ratings, and shout out to the most beautiful queen in boxing, Amanda, the real deal Serrano, and long live Puerto Rico. And yeah, salute to the mighty LDBC, man. I had a very good time talking on this topic, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I probably say next week we'll probably just do it on like I don't know, like I think fighter ratings will be better on a Tuesday, or it can definitely be made on a Sunday, but I think Tuesdays will be the better days. So definitely stay tuned for the next one. I'll probably say next week, honestly, like I'll probably do Canelo or maybe some other fighter. Like I'll probably do Shakur or just any fighter that will probably be good. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that. I appreciate you guys for coming through. Salute to the mighty LDBC. And this is Cannon Rodriguez, and I'm out, y'all. Thank you. Bye.